Happy?
Thumbnail.
Thumbnail. Hello, welcome to my show. Hello, welcome to the Go Grab That Day podcast episode. I don't know, but we're going to talk about fights. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope you're all keeping well on this side of the world or that. As always, appreciate the support and the likes and the shares and the subscribes and all that kind of stuff. But please keep it up. Keep supporting the channel as always. Really appreciate it. So today we are going to talk about UFC Fight Night, Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Augusto Sakai, which is the one that I thought was on last week, which wasn't. But anyway, we're going to talk about this, talk about the Logan, a little bit about the Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather stuff. But yeah, let's get straight into the card. As advertised, not the biggest card, but there was some really good fights on it. Quickly skip through the prelims. Excuse me. Yeah, so Francisco Trinaldo getting a win. Big win for that lady whose name I couldn't pronounce previously. I think it was last week's podcast. Manon Fiorot, I think is her name. Beating Tabitha Ricci viciously. Viciously with a TKO in round 2. Looked pretty good. Heavy pressure with her strikes constantly. Proved to be way too much for Ricci to deal with. Americani with a win, Trinaldo with a win, Tanner Boser beating, Elir Latifi beating Tanner Boser. And moving on. So, where are we? Yeah, so kicking off the main card was Montana De La Rosa versus Ariane Lipski, which I would have thought Lipski was going to take this fight because just her striking is really good, and De La Rosa, as experienced as she is, and as well, I say well-rounded, she's pretty well-rounded, but her wrestling is really good. Grappling in particular is the big part of her game. But she's always just there or thereabouts, never really does enough to win fights in my opinion, but she looked really good in this one. Pretty much dominated as soon as it went to the ground. And landed some nasty elbows. I believe she cut both sides of Lipski's face. She definitely had one bad cut and a bit of swelling on, I don't know, it was the left or right eye. And there was blood. It looked like there was blood coming from the other eye, but it was hard to tell whether it was just this side flowing over or what. But in the end got the TKO win, and a great win against a tough Ariane Lipski. Very good result for De La Rosa, who I think, not that she needed a win, but she needed a dominant victory, kind of like this. Like I said, she's been hit or miss sometimes, where she'll win a few and lose, or the other way around. But looked good in this fight. Looked real good. Pretty dominant performance. Pretty. I don't want to say flawless, but she wasn't really harmed too much in the fight against Ariane Lipski. That's not something a lot of fighters can say. She's a tough outfit for anybody. And then we have. This was a great fight. We had Dusko Todorovic versus Gregory Rodriguez. This was a scrap. It was really good over and back. Heavy pace throughout the fight. Todorovic has an insane chin. He took some heavy shots, and I really liked Rodriguez with just his striking. Both guys look really good. I just think Todorovic depends a lot on that chin of his. I mean, he took some heavy shots that would have put other guys to sleep. And the annoying thing for these two guys is if I look through the list, they probably would have got fight of the night if it wasn't for the next fight coming up, which I'm going to spend definitely a couple of minutes talking about. But the good win for Rodriguez, and both guys being on, I believe, were previously on Dana White's Contender Series. But then moving on to the welterweight fight and fight of the night, I believe. It had to be fight of the night, but I'll just double check the bonuses. I'd imagine it had to be. So they should have got extra bonuses for that fight. But Santiago, I think if you were to guess, this would have been fight of the night. But Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Miguel Beza. Beza, who me personally, I didn't know a whole lot about. I for sure will pay a lot more attention to him after this fight. Ponzinibbio, who I do know a lot about, I'm actually a big fan of. He always puts on exciting fights. He's just a gritty warrior, is the word I would use. But Beza was real nice striking too. Throwing nasty leg kicks. Like, to be honest, if early on in the fight you were thinking this is going to be a tough night for Ponzinibbio, which it was in the end, but you thought he wasn't really going to get a look in. His legs were getting chewed up. There was one thing I noticed about this fight. I thought at first it was the canvas, or was it Ponzinibbio's leg? I don't know, because by the end of the fight both guys' legs were pretty chewed up from kicks. I cannot imagine the pain those boys are going to be in over the next few days after that fight. But Ponzinibbio, in particular Ponzinibbio, but both of them looked like they were slipping a lot on the canvas. Every time they were throwing something, you could see the foot kind of giving out or slipping behind them. And at one point you could see Ponzinibbio went for a double leg, and Beza was easily able to sprawl and stuff him down because his legs slipped back so easy. So I don't know, was it... I'm not sure, the canvas looks slippy, but again, I don't know, was it that the boys were just... their legs were getting chewed up so bad that their footing was just a little off. I'm not too sure. But yeah, early in the fight you could see Ponzinibbio's lead leg was struggling, and just the gritty warrior that he is, he just stuck out the fight. And in my opinion, like, he won via decision. Miguel Beza not too happy, but I thought it was the right decision. I thought by the end of the fight Ponzinibbio had done more damage. Like, how one of these guys would not go down, I don't know. But the end of that fight was quality. You just watched the two of them swinging in the pocket. But Ponzinibbio, just his experience and stuff like that, it's hard to really... It's one of those fights where obviously one of them loses, but realistically both of their stock is going to go up. Miguel Beza is going to go up massively, because obviously Ponzinibbio has this record anyway, has this reputation, of being this gritty warrior, that always puts on a war. And you can see by the end, when they announced him as the winner, you see by his reaction, his celebration, he was pumped after it. He's had some injury issues and a long while out. Obviously lost his return fight after, but he was out for 4 years. And I think, although these fights aren't really the best thing for you in the long term, maybe this is what he needed to kind of, I don't know, gut check himself to see if he still had it, and something. Look, it showed that he still had it. He's a dangerous outfit for anybody. But also, again, Miguel Beza is a nice fighter to watch. Very, I liked his high guard. He constantly kept the guard up to blocking his face the whole time, which I believe the commentator said it. Also wonder why Ponzinibbio didn't go to the body a little bit, but I thought it was good to see. And Beza's leg kicks, nasty leg kicks. And for Ponzinibbio to take so many leg kicks and eventually start throwing a ton of his own, and what a fight. That's, I don't want to say fight of the year off the top of my head, but it's going to be in the running for that. It's going to be in the shortlist somewhere. Yeah, again, not sure what the winner, but it'll be up there. I mean, what a fight. Excuse me, on behalf of both guys, what a fight. But Beza definitely one to look out for, and Ponzinibbio is still that guy he was before he went, before his layoff. I believe he called out he's looking to fight someone like every time. Why is it every time I come on this podcast I cannot think of names? Yeah, he called out the Brazilian guy that fought Tyron Woodley, and I can't think of his name. Yeah, Vicente Luque, that's the name. I don't know why that. As soon as I turn on the camera, my brain decides, okay, time to sleep. But anyway, he called out Vicente Luque, which will be a cracking fight. Big fan of both guys and the way they fight. I think it's a tough fight for both guys. I think Luque is a little bit better technically. I think he's better striking. Just better technique, but absolutely I would love to see that fight. Whether he'd take it, I don't know, but I think it'd be a good fight, yeah. But what a fight this was. What a cracking fight, especially the end of it. I mean, unreal. Then we have Roman Dolidze wins via decision against Staropoli, and yeah, Walt Harris in the co-main, Walt Harris losing to Marcin Tybura. I just want, like, Walt Harris, just one of those guys I want to see get a win. I believe he's lost 2 or 3 on the trot now. I know I always bring this up, but obviously Walt Harris, I think it was a year or so ago, losing his daughter, who was murdered, and obviously spending a bit of time out. He's just one of those guys you want to see put together a win streak and do well for himself. It's kind of hard to critique him, but obviously I have to, his thing is always kind of, he explodes early, comes out and he looks real dangerous at the start of fights, but guys are kind of getting a read on that. I mean, even Tybura said that before the fight, and the same thing happened. He had Tybura in trouble early in the round, and just eventually Tybura got the takedown and just finished the fight via TKO from there. Unfortunately, Walt Harris, his takedown defense, or his grappling, is just not where it needs to be. It kind of, people to see the hole in his game there. Even Overeem, that's how Overeem beat him, who he also had Overeem in trouble as well. Yeah, it's a shame. Great win for Tybura though. That's 5 on the trot for Tybura, I believe, 4 or 5. So he's putting together quite a nice win streak, which is a lot for heavyweight. But he himself said I believe he's not going to call any. I hate when fighters don't call somebody out. I don't know. Like, I it never used to bother me, but I remember, I think I've said this before, Chael Sonnen saying that, if fighters come on the mic and someone asks, anybody like to call out, and they say, oh no, I don't care who I fight. If they don't care, how can fans care? Which I always like when Chael Sonnen said that, because it makes sense. And obviously it pumps up a fight when you call somebody out. You don't necessarily have to be, I suppose, insulting, or, Nate Diaz, like, I want to fight your fucking ass. But, it's good to call guys out, but I suppose Tybura, maybe he's just not that kind of guy. But he said himself he doesn't believe he's in the title picture yet, but he might be a fight or so away from that, which it's honest, to be fair. He also got, he won Performance of the Night, one of the people to win Performance of the Night. So good for him. But yeah, it'd just be nice to see Walt Harris get a win. I hope the UFC are willing to give him a bit of time, and I know you can't always give all these guys like extra time and stuff like that, but hopefully, because of the circumstances the last few years, that he will be given a bit of time, but I don't know. Great fighter. I mean, just for some reason, just not getting that win. I think it's just work on the wrestling, and just stop exploding so early, and I don't know. But anyway, great win for Tybura. And then moving on to the main event, which is another heavyweight clash of Augusto Sakai versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. This was a very tentative fight. Obviously, it finished by the first round, but still very tentative. Just it ends in the first round. We'll call it tentative in the heavyweight division, but it was somewhat tentative. Both guys kind of feeling each other out, but Rozenstruik getting the knockout, or TKO in the end, with a kind of a. It shows you the power that Rozenstruik has, but it's the heavyweight division too, because he landed kind of an awkward sort of punch as Sakai was moving away, so he moved towards that punch, but it was a shot to the body and then kind of a looping sort of left hook, I believe, and yeah, good finish. Just as not the most perfectly landed or timed KO, but listen, it works. That power Rozenstruik has not gone anywhere yet, and he's still thereabouts within that heavyweight bracket, but a great win for him against a tough opponent. What's next for him, I don't know. Obviously that heavyweight division, is kind of held up. We don't know what's going on with all the talk of John Jones, whether Stipe wants to run it back. I don't know. They have some exciting guys in there, like a Cyril Gane and these boys. So yeah, don't necessarily know what's going to happen there, but kind of feel like the division's sort of being held ransom a little bit by John Jones. Even though Dana White has come out saying they're moving on from that fight, but Rozenstruik also got Performance of the Night. So the 3 awards were Ponzinibbio Miguel Baeza Fight of the Night, and the 2 Performance of the Nights were Marcin Tybura and Jairzinho Rozenstruik. So that's very quickly that card done already, which was obviously super fast. But it was obviously a smaller card as well. I'm not going to spend too long talking about the prelims, but maybe we'll have a quick look ahead to next week. What a card that is. Obviously it's the big 263 card. In headline by Adesanya and Vittori. But I mean it's a cracking card from top to bottom. I'll go into the prelims here, we'll have a quick look. We'll go to the yearly prelims, have a quick look. So you have, where are we? Carlos Felipe versus Jake Collier. Faraz Siam versus Luigi Vendoramini. Then you've got young Chase Hooper versus Steven Peterson. Frank Camacho, Matt Frivola, that might be a decent fight. Pani Kianzad versus Alexis Davis. Then moving into the prelims, you got Hakeem Dawodu versus Movsar Evliov. Jesus. Hakeem Dawodu is usually pretty exciting. You have Lauren Murphy versus Joanne Calderwood. That is a good fight. Great fight at light heavyweight. Eric Anders versus Darren the Dentist Stewart. It's a cracking fight. Then you have an excellent fight as well at lightweight. Drew Dober versus Brad Riddell, which would be a great fight as well. Brad representing City Kickboxing, shout out to them. Like that, prelim card is brilliant alone. And then you have, going into the main card, Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill, very good fight. You have Damian Maia versus Bilal Muhammad, very good fight. Then you have, my God, Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz. Fucking Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno, which is probably, one of your fights of the year, the first fight. Then you have Adesanya versus Vittori. Great fights on that card. I mean, do I dare predict the winners? Do you want me to predict the winners? I would say, if I'm being honest, okay, so let's run through. I'll look at the prelims as well. I believe Dawodu to win. Lauren Murphy, Joanne Calderwood. I'll go for Jojo Calderwood simply because I'm a fan. Eric Anders, Darren Stewart, that's a tough one because I do like both of those guys. Both of them are heavy hitters. That's a tough one. I can see Darren Stewart possibly taking that one. Just he's a little less reckless than Eric Anders, I believe, but that's a tough one to call. And then in the main fight on the prelims, I'm going to go with Brad Riddell simply because I'm a fan. But that is a tough fight for Brad against Drew Dober, the experienced Drew Dober. And main card, we got Paul Craig, Jamal Hill. Ooh, Paul Craig's just one of those guys, he seems to always kind of grind out a win, doesn't he? But Jamal Hill might cause some problems. I'll go for Paul Craig in that one. In the welterweight fight, I'm going to go with the first welterweight fight. I'm going to go with Bilal Muhammad to beat Damian Maia. I just believe Maia is, unfortunately, on his last, kind of at the end of his career, that great grappler obviously, but I just think Muhammad is kind of one of these guys who's coming into his prime now and stuff like that. He's in his prime, so he's a dangerous outfit. Then you got Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz. Wow. What a win if Nate Diaz were to pull this off. But I think it's a tough fight from against Leon Edwards. I just think Nate is, not that he's like at the end or he's washed up or anything like that. I just think I picture with all of Nate Diaz's scar tissue and all of that and the kind of fighter that he is, you can picture Edwards just, cutting him up and, stoppage via cut or something like that. Like Diaz's eyebrows can just, you can breathe on them and they start bleeding. So Edwards has just got such a wide range of skills. But I mean, after the Bilal Muhammad fight that was stopped, obviously, Edwards needs a good performance as well, so this could be a big fight for him. It is a big fight for both guys. And of course you got Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno. What a fight that first one was. This could be probably fight of the night again, but can it live up to the first one? What a fight if it did. I'm going to go for Brandon Moreno on this one simply because I'm such a big Moreno fan. I really like his character. Would love to see him get that win. And in the main event, I love the build up between these two guys. Now they're starting to sort of have a bit of bite between them, even though there was anyway. But I see Adesanya being too much for Vettori. Not an easy fight by any means, but I think he's just got too much, and I think he's going to be super dangerous coming back after that loss. But what a card! I cannot wait for that one. So tune in. And that's all the UFC stuff, MMA stuff. So we'll quickly talk about Logan Paul. So as I said, Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. There's not a whole lot to say, is there? Like I swear, I'm trying not to be shitting on boxing all the time. And I know again, people are gonna say this is not boxing, but I mean the sport. I didn't enjoy it at all. Like really didn't enjoy it. And I know again, even for like, I know it wasn't a good fight, but I truly, I was so bored. Just reading there's a headline here. What is it? Shows the Guardian. It says Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather ends in boos as each fighter makes millions. Yeah, I don't know. It's just sometimes you get up. I wasn't particularly up for this fight anyway, but of course I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, it was boring. You felt like, besides the flurry that Logan Paul had in the end of the first round, there was never really, you never really felt like anyone was willing to do anything to win the fight. And you kind of forgot then, or at least I did, that, there was no judges, so it's just kind of stupid, really. No guy, neither of them had the fear of getting knocked out, so there was no point to really do anything. It was just boring. I think, obviously the fact that Logan Paul lasted all 8 rounds says a lot for him. Like, Mayweather takes the loss on this, really. Obviously I know it doesn't go down as a loss or anything like that, it ends in a draw, but I believe it's not a good look for Mayweather, that's been honest. But I mean, 44 years of age, I just wonder, it's just showing here that Mayweather landed 43 punches to Paul's 28. I mean, like, how bad are those numbers? But yeah, you just wonder. I'm not going to sit here and say that Mayweather looked bad, but he didn't do much. Logan Paul obviously is not a legit boxer. He looked in great shape, to be fair to him. Yeah, it's just not a lot to say. It doesn't. I'm not even excited to break it down or anything. It's just I feel like, with all the money they're making and all that, that it's not a whole, like, the build up to it wasn't too bad. I was kind of getting into it during the week. I wasn't super excited, but got a little bit into it. And obviously I watched it, but the fight was poor. It really was. It was boring. There's one thing that I will say, and it's rare that I back up the Paul brothers, but credit to them, they got balls for doing all this. But you're gonna see, like, there's some people now, like, Floyd could have finished him if he wanted. That's bullshit. He couldn't have, because you couldn't. If he could have, he would have done it. It's like when I see people writing either, I've seen this a few times online, where people going either Mayweather wins or else it's a fix. Which doesn't really make sense, because either it's a fix or it's not. I mean, that just doesn't make, it doesn't make sense. Either Mayweather wins or else it's just fixed. I mean, why would you support it if you believe Mayweather would fix it? Why, And again, I'm not, Mayweather's obviously one of the best to ever do it, but I don't in any way believe that he, purposely held back. He couldn't get Paul out of there. He couldn't get Logan Paul out of there. That's the truth. And of course, it makes sense, because I mean, Logan Paul is much heavier than him. I'm not shitting on Mayweather. I'm just saying, people kind of saying, oh, well, he could have beaten him if he wanted. No, he couldn't have, because he would have done it. He would have beat him. He would have knocked him out if he could have. He couldn't do it. Plain and simple. And that's credit to Logan Paul. But I mean, again, same time, it doesn't really make sense, considering the size difference was so different, and you could see it in there. And credit to Logan Paul, he used his weight, leaning on him and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say after that. I haven't got to much of the reactions, or really listened to. I listened to a little bit of the in-ring interviews afterwards. Nothing much being said. I know Floyd had alluded to the fact that he's now 44, and yeah, it's, again, I don't know how long they're going to keep doing these kind of things. I know obviously we got Jake Paul fighting Tyron Woodley coming up towards the end of the year, which again I'll probably watch, but Yeah, I don't know. Not a lot to say on it. I don't know. I don't know really what to say about it. But this is a loss for Floyd and a loss for it's a little bit of a stain on boxing, is it not? That's just my opinion. I don't think it looks good. Obviously people are going to say, well, Floyd is 44 and all that, and I get it. And listen, a few years ago, like, he wouldn't have been able to stay in the ring with Floyd. I understand all that, like, but I'm just saying. And the other thing is Mayweather going to keep, I don't think I said that already, right? Like, he's going to keep doing this until someone gets lucky. He's going to do this a few more times until some guy like Logan Paul or whoever it may be, gets lucky, because it can happen. It's not pretending, like, as good as Floyd is, there is a day where you duck when you should have weaved, or whatever way you want to say it, and you get caught. It's very possible. I wouldn't like to see that, because obviously he is arguably the greatest to ever do it. You wouldn't want to see some guy getting lucky and flatlining Floyd Mayweather. But yeah, there's not really a lot to say. I'm not even going to attempt to go breaking down the fight, because I didn't enjoy it at all. You'll know by listening to me, I don't necessarily watch a whole lot of boxing. I don't enjoy boxing anyway. It's just not for me, except for the rare, mostly heavyweight fights is what I'm interested in. But no, Jesus, I was bored to tears during that fight, to be honest. Nothing exciting about it. The first round ended and you're kind of like, oh, maybe something's going to happen, but nothing happened, and it was shit, let's be honest. Yeah, nothing more to say other than that. Look forward to the fights next week, should be good. And that's it, that's all the news I have. It's a quiet enough week for once. We got through that video pretty quick, but hopefully you enjoyed it. Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I appreciate it. I'll try to be a little more excited by the next boxing fights that are coming up, but unfortunately, no, that one, it drained the life out of me watching it. But anyway, I appreciate it, guys. I hope you're all doing well. Please keep supporting the channel, and yeah, any things you want to hit me up about, any questions you have, hit us up on the Instagram, the Facebook, or the YouTube, wherever it may be. But please keep supporting us. We really appreciate it. Love you guys. Go grab that day.